If you're a landlord, you could be in court very soon, and this is what you need to know. What's up, real estate rockstars? I'm Mighty Mike, and welcome to another episode of Rockstar News, your news source for real estate agents, investors, and anyone looking to become a rock star. If this is your first time watching, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share with all your friends and family.
What's up, guys? Chris Newton, Century 21.
All right, we live in a very litigious society, and it may seem like it's becoming harder and harder every single day to run your business with more regulations, licensing, and competition out there than ever before. And one of the best businesses out there is owning your own rental company or renting out investment properties to good tenants. Well, that may soon change. A single law firm has filed over 48 lawsuits this year alone based on the opinion of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or the HUD. This is not codified in any actual law. Florida property managers who allegedly refused to rent to tenants based on previous criminal convictions are now forced to defend themselves in these lawsuits. Private law firms essentially test whether a property management company adheres to a memo issued by the HUD. And if this is in their opinion, it does not, they file a lawsuit. The latest round of lawsuit focuses largely on policies against renting to tenants with criminal convictions. The Fair Housing Act does not specify or deny a landlord the right to reject an applicant based on prior convictions. However, the HUD has issued a statement saying that a blanket policy denying felons can impact on minority populations under desperate impact. Now, what is desperate impact? It's an act of discrimination that may not harm a single individual, but under the Fair Housing Act is deemed to be harmful to a minority group overall. According to the HUD, some minority communities have a higher percentage of members convicted of felonies, and that makes it a basket policy against all felons discriminatory underneath the Fair Housing Act. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter if the rental policy purposely discriminates or not. With HUD's recommendation in hand, a law firm can file a lawsuit, and even if the property management company has done nothing wrong, it's always expensive for the brokerage to defend itself in court. All right, so, what do you think of the whole situation?
I see two sides. I really do. There are some people who are convicted felons and they have made mistakes, and they're actually better productive people in society, but a lot of rights are taken away, and sometimes they just want to have a house, a home, and renting is pretty much where they're kind of stuck at. But the same token, if you're an investor or if you're a homeowner and you have the ability to rent out your property, I can understand why you wouldn't want someone who has a prior drug conviction, who's a pedophile, who falls under that. But at the same token, this is a minority group, not so much based on race. There are far less felons than there are of the average people, so that's considered a minority group.
Well, no, I think what they're saying is that because they are saying that there are certain minority groups out there, that have a higher conviction rate. And I think that's what they're saying is that because these minority groups do have a higher conviction, and you're basing your determination off of this, you could be seen as being discriminatory towards those racial groups. And let's be real, the situation is that especially here in America, there are predominantly more Black African Americans that are given drug felonies and other charges, just because of the whole system, blah blah blah. So that's what they're trying to say is that you have African Americans who are trying to rent, but they're being discriminated not because they're Black, but because they have felonies. Yeah. And so it's kind of like a backdoor situation in trying to get in there. Yeah.
And I see two sides of the coin. I really do. I can see either side.
Yeah, it's because from the landlord perspective, let's say you have a duplex or a quadplex. You want to sit there and rent out to good tenants so that you don't have any issues. You can't judge directly based off of sex, familial status, gender,
and convictions.
It says you can, but not you can't. So it's just how do you sit there? So you have to go based off of people's credit history. Then how long is it to when they sit there and say because certain racial groups have poor credit, you can no longer sit there and be hey, you can't discriminate based on someone who has poor credit. Yeah. And so how do you determine if someone's rent worthy?
It's a really fine line. It really is. Yeah. I think the lawsuits really need to have solid evidence of blatant biasness towards those who are convicted felons.
Yeah, I'm against the whole idea of executive departments issuing memos and statements that have the force of law that you can go to court for. That's basically the, Congress is giving their legislative authority to the executive branch. And like all these rules and regulations should go through Congress first.
Yeah.
There should be an open discussion about that. No, it isn't. Like basically any, executive department can issue regulations or rules, and those rules have the force of law. So like just like this memo, it says you can't do this. So now that these independent firms can file lawsuits against these management companies because it now has the force of law. So the issue is that the legislator was too lazy to sit there and actually go through the process of looking at all the legislation, blah blah. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that like it's going to become a little difficult for landlords to sit there and look for good tenants.
Yeah, especially I wonder how they're going to do when it comes to even property management companies.
Well, that's
the main one they're kind of going after. But even homeowners have to abate by this as well.
Well, I think because you don't have to follow the Fair Housing Act if you have less than 4 units. So if you have, so if you're an independent person, you don't have a company, you're just renting out your own property, as long as it's under 4 units, you're not considered commercial, you don't have to follow that.
I'm going to store that in my memory bank.
Yeah, so you don't have to follow that. This is mainly pertaining to people who have multiple units, who have like an LLC. They classify themselves as a management company. These rules are going to apply to you.
Even I learned something today.
All right, so what do you guys think? Do you think these rules are fair? Go ahead and leave your comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to all of our social media platforms so you can stay up to date with the latest in Rockstar news. Also, if you guys were thinking about getting into the real estate business and you want to get your real estate license and you need a coach to train you, definitely hit us up. We're going to be starting our coaching program soon, so we can train agents how to take their career from off the ground and into the stratosphere. And so just reach out to us personally. And then if you're thinking about becoming a homeowner, this Saturday we're going to be having a first-time home buyer program. Yep. Correct?
That's correct.
And we're going to have
Altero Home Loans. Altero Home Loans is going to be sponsoring it. We're going to be bringing food. We'll also have prizes all throughout the process. It's at the Winter Park Public Library, Saturday, August 24th, from 11 to 1 o'clock. It's a perfect window. Come by, get your education on, and win some prizes and food. Everyone loves food.
Yeah, we're going to provide lunch, and we're going to have a special guest there
as well.
We'll figure out the credit guy. But anyways, it's like he said, it's going to be August 24th, 11 to 1 p.m. So make sure there's going to be a link in the description. Make sure you hit that so you guys can become a real estate rock star. Because a long time ago, the legislator was like, hey, we're too lazy.
That just happened.
We'll cut that out.
Hey, too lazy to hold the remote.
Too lazy to hold the remote.